It's officially been 3 fucking months since I've been addicted to nicotine. And honestly, I really can't believe it. But I thought I would celebrate. With me, I hope this doesn't end up inverted, but because I've never recorded like this before with my phone, but we got some rum and yeah, thought we would celebrate. This is not cold. This is going to be very strong. But this is an occasion that I feel like is worth celebrating. So cheers. Ugh. Actually, it was not as bad as I thought it would be. Anyway, thought that was a fun way to start off this video. Today I'm going to be talking about what it's like not being I cannot speak. Today I'm going to be talking about how it feels to no longer be addicted to nicotine. This is a part 2 to the video I made, what was it, a month, 2 months later? I don't remember. But yes, I wanted to wait a little bit longer to do any sort of follow-up because honestly a lot has changed since that video. When I made the last one, it was still in a weird transitional phase because honestly, the recovery process from nicotine is a lot longer than I was hoping it would be. I mean, I think I kind of knew deep down it wasn't going to be as easy as, oh, drop it, you'll be fine in a couple weeks. No, that's really not how it works, especially given the fact that I was addicted to it for 4 straight years. So I really only had one considerable break from it, and that was only like a month and a half. But yeah, so I wanted to talk about the changes because I really am surprised just at how much has changed. I want to separate this into 2 sections. First one talking about the mental benefits from quitting, and secondly, the physical benefits. And hopefully I can convince somebody to stop, because when you do it and you've been doing it for a long time, you know, you become so accustomed to it that you don't really think about just how different your life could be without it. And it also could be causing some issues that you just didn't identify as being caused by nicotine just because it doesn't make sense. But anyway, what has changed mentally? So, man, when you're addicted to nicotine, it feels kind of impossible to live in the moment. I think that was one of the big things for me personally, because ADHD has this weird way of making really nothing more important than getting your dopamine hits in, and nicotine being an addictive drug on its own, those two things really don't go well together. And it just felt like no matter what I did, I could not stop thinking about it. It was always more important than what I was doing. 100%. And there were times that I would go out and forget my vape, and I would just fucking break down. It was ridiculous. I acted like a child when I forgot it. And I remember if I ever wanted to go on vacations or just like do any sort of trip or anything, I just was so anxious about the idea of not having it, not having enough stuff. Like when I was at my peak, I would bring two devices with me on a trip. I would bring 2 bottles of juice. Never know, might lose a bottle. Never know. Would bring 3-4 coils for a week. It's like, oh, who knows? It could burn really fast. You never know. I was obsessive over it, and just looking back, I don't think I fully realized or understood just how bad my anxiety was overall on it, because I would have sworn up and down the whole time I was on it that it relieved my stress. You know, that's something that everyone addicted will say. It's like, oh, I use nicotine because it helps my stress, and it's like, no, it doesn't. And I know it's frustrating to hear when you're addicted, because it's like, the whole reason I started using it was because I was stressed, but Yeah, in the beginning, when you're not addicted, yeah, it can help with stress, but over time, it makes it worse because you're constantly withdrawing from it if you're not hitting it. And that's really where the problem comes in. Because I just like, overall, anxiety wise, I just felt cracked out 24/7. And, I told people about this after I quit. And people were kind of giving me the response of, are you really sure that it's nicotine that was doing all of that? Because, like, I was cracked out. I got so horrifically anxious over everything, so intrusive over everything. And I quit. And then once the withdrawals went away, a lot of that subsided. I still have OCD, I still have an anxiety disorder, but it's just nowhere near as bad as it was when I was vaping. And just the amount that I was using, I kind of went back and forth between 50 and 35 milligrams, but I went through the equivalent of about 2 packs of cigarettes per day, and that went on for about 2-3 years. Because the first year I was doing it, I was mostly using box mods just because I thought they were cool for some reason. I think I even still have. I want to like expose myself here. Don't worry about me still having this. It's broken, but I had this. The eyes light up. It was just really stupid. I spent like $100-something on this. I don't know. I had the Valerian tank. I had the Smart Cobra tank. Like I got way too into it. All of the flavors and shit. It was ridiculous. And pretty much my whole friend group was addicted to nicotine. Aside from a couple people, I kind of always envied them for not being as stupid as us. But it got to a point where I really just never thought I would quit. I had kind of accepted it. And it's weird to talk about this because it's not even that long ago, but like even in like September, October, I remember actively thinking like, yeah, I'm probably never going to stop this. And I was fine with it. I clearly wasn't fine with it because I ended up stopping, but I had at the very least accepted the idea of it. And I don't know. It's just the motivation to quit, was pretty much purely the mental side of it. All the physical stuff was completely unexpected. The reason that I quit, I don't remember if I said in the original. I to be completely honest with you, didn't watch that one after I posted it, so I don't even remember what the fuck I said. But I just had this gut feeling that it was making my mental health issues, specifically my ADHD, worse. I just got so tired of that being more important than everything. Hitting a fucking battery was more important than anything else in my life. I got tired of that. I think understandably. So I just really, I don't know. I kind of did it out of impulse, to be honest. I had just gotten back from a trip to the mountains because this was early November, right? And was it late October or early November? I don't know. I don't even remember the exact quit date. I just know by reference of time it's been about 3 months because I wanted to make it a super casual thing. I didn't set a quit date. I just kind of did it because I found that like with quitting anything, I've had the most success trying to make it just a casual thing, But anyway, in the months leading up to that trip, I had completely lost my mind more than I ever had in my entire life. I was in a relationship with somebody and I spiraled horrifically mentally. I think probably the worst mental spiral I've ever had in my life. I ended up leaving her in an attempt to better myself and then spiraled harder after I actually did it. So I was kind of just like living sort of in isolation in my room. I didn't really do anything because I'd quit my full-time job because I was just so mentally erratic and all over the place. And I just I was I was a wreck, right? But I don't know. It was kind of a weird eye-opening experience going on the trip with my friends, and we got back, and then that day I just kind of dropped it and tried to not think about it much. But obviously it's not all good. It's not all positive. The first month being off of nicotine was one of the most mentally challenging months of my life. My executive dysfunction, I believe I said in the last video, got so bad that I worked at Amazon for about a month during peak season. When I was being trained there, I just could not focus on a goddamn thing. I didn't care what they were teaching me. I was doing the e-learning and it was causing me active distress that like I was trying to absorb what I was being taught, but I just couldn't. I did not care. But that's obviously not really a fun thing to go through. But during that time I was sort of realizing that yeah, I was pretty mentally fucked over from nicotine because I had started using it so early. Something that I do, all of these big companies saying like, stop, quit vaping, quit smoking. Everyone makes fun of these companies, but no, they're completely right when they say if you start using nicotine when you're young, that's really bad. That's really, really bad. And it makes it so much harder to quit when you're older because your brain develops with nicotine being ingested every day. That's the norm for your brain when it develops. So when you take it away, it feels like your brain's broken. Like that was my experience with it. When I quit, once all of the like intense withdrawals went away, it just felt like my brain was broken. Like it just didn't work. And even now, 3 months later, I still feel like my brain just does not work some days. And if you could say to that, are you sure it was from quitting nicotine? And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty damn sure of it because this feeling is unlike anything I've ever felt before, and it's been directly correlated with quitting. And because of that, I have to be careful because, the cravings, in my experience, don't completely go away. I still, on a daily basis, get cravings. I think about it every day. My brain will convince me all the time that it's a smart idea to use it again, but that's just part of the addiction. And if you use it for a long period of time, and like I said, if you start when you're young, you have to be really careful because your brain will convince you of shit because it's so used to getting that hit all the time. And when you take it away, it doesn't just bounce back that easily. But yeah, in terms of mental benefits, I think like I already said, decreased anxiety. That's really one of the big things. I feel like I'm an above average emotional person. I do link that to my ADHD a lot. I get very emotional very easily. I catastrophize a lot, but I do a hell of a lot less without nicotine. That's something that I really am thankful for because me being overly emotional has fucked me over many times in my life. And just having that just like a little bit lower has been very helpful. But that's the main mental benefit, honestly. That and just the fact that I am not thinking about it all the time. Like I can go to school, I can go on shifts. That's not the thing that I'm thinking about. I think that's honestly probably the biggest thing. It was a big motivation for stopping in the first place. But once again, it's not going to be all great. A huge downfall in the first month. Admittedly, I'm kind of putting myself on blast here. This became a huge problem. A huge problem. To such an extent to where it scared me quite a lot. It got to a point where it was every day And I really was briefly addicted physically to alcohol, and that's one of the scarier things I've dealt with in my life, to be honest. It was kind of like, it wasn't an intentional trade of problems, but that's kind of just what ended up happening. And I would say try your damn hardest to not use other shit when you're quitting something, because especially with dopamine deficient brains, it's kind of like we latch on to anything that gives dopamine, anything, and it can catch you off guard sometimes because it feels instinctual. It's like, yes, dopamine, I need it. Thankfully now I'm at a point where I don't really think I have an alcohol problem. I like drinking, but I don't go crazy with it like I used to. And I think New Year's Eve was a big eye opener for me because I got blackout drunk and embarrassed myself in front of a bunch of neighborhood people that were like like three times my age. I was just saying some crazy shit, but it's okay. We all have our moments, but yeah, that's the mental side of it. The physical side, I did not expect any of this at all. I think honestly, I almost am more excited about the physical benefits than the mental benefits. I mean, part of that could just be that shit, my light went off. There we go. A big part of that really just is I was not expecting it. These things were a huge surprise to me. These were things that like people could notice from looking at me. First thing, weight gain. This is something that a lot of people would not view as a positive. But for me, this has been the thing that people have noticed the most. So, and I will say, in the first 2 months of quitting, I replaced nicotine with working out. I may throw pictures on the screen right now to show the progress I made in those 2 months. I kind of called it quits because it ended up pretty much turning into an eating disorder, and I was not comfortable with that, and it just caused me way too much stress. I kind of had a lot of realizations that I was doing it purely for external validation, and that was it, not really for my own benefit, so I called it quits. But nonetheless, I gained a lot of weight. I went from 107 pounds to 135. As you know, you could probably see in the pictures, I gained a lot of weight. And something that I was not expecting was, even when I started eating how I did before quitting again, I kept a good majority of the weight. Even when I quit bulking, I kept most of it. And I've had issues gaining weight my whole life, and that was another thing. People saying, "How is that nicotine?" I don't know. If you want my honest answer, I don't know. I don't know how quitting nicotine made it so much easier for me to keep on weight, because I don't really think I eat more. It's just I hold it on more. The next thing, this, amongst every single benefit, in combination with mental and physical, by far the best thing that has honestly ever happened to me. So I struggle with severe eczema every winter. Anyone around me can tell you, my fingers will swell up to twice the size. Not fucking joking, they will swell up twice the size, be constantly bleeding, getting infected, here to here typically. It's rough. It causes so much insecurity. It's a horrible thing to deal with. The pain is so bad that I will start shaking when water touches it. It's that bad. But you notice something. Do you see anything? I don't. There's nothing there. When I quit vaping, my eczema went away. Like, it sounds like some bullshit, like, miracle thing, but my eczema straight up just went away completely. And my hands are dry right now but they don't resemble eczema to me, at least in the way that I had before. I think I still have eczema, but it just shows as dry skin. It never cracks. My skin has not cracked in months. And it's just like, holy shit. And if you want an explanation for that, I would have to assume it's dehydration. I can't really. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of. Well, not a lot, but I have seen people on Reddit talk about how their eczema got a lot less bad when they quit vaping. I almost wonder if there's something in the flavorings of vaping, because I've even seen people that said that when they switched from cigarettes to vaping, that they got really severe eczema. And if they're vaping, they're probably taking in less nicotine than they were from smoking. So it's like, who knows? Who knows why? It's like most of the, like all of the physical things, I have no clue why. I couldn't tell you. But yeah, my eczema is just not a thing anymore. And I think the decreased anxiety also has a big impact on that, because shit, man, it's like I never when you become so used to a state of mind, you no longer question it. You know, using nicotine, I was constantly cracked out, and I just didn't think about it anymore. But yes, I am very happy about my eczema essentially being gone. And the next thing, a big thing that I know that people have noticed, my acne. I have scarring, but I have no active acne right now. None. Everything you see on my face right now is scarring. There is not a single bit of active acne anywhere on my body, which is fucking crazy to me, because, and this is something you might actually have been able to see in my fitness progress pictures. I had acne all over my shoulders, my chest, my back for years. It's like all of like the body acne I got from puberty, like early puberty, got worse when I started vaping, but I never noticed. Well, it's not that I didn't notice. I never drew the correlation between the two things. I'm going to throw up a picture right now showing at how my face looked in September when I was still vaping, and it's absolutely crazy. All fucking purple and just broken out. It was disgusting. I looked so frail. I looked so unhealthy. And it's just, I never drew any correlation between these things. Once again, a lot of that is blamed, one, on the fact that if you're severely addicted to a drug, you are going to subconsciously ignore any sign that that's causing your issues. But two, just that I was doing it for so long, it was such a part of my daily routine, I didn't really think that could cause any sort of problem with me. But yeah, the physical changes have been a blessing, to put it lightly. Just, I don't know, I'm just like a lot happier with how I look overall, just from quitting. And I think that's really it in a nutshell. Quitting nicotine, even though, like, I think part of the reason, at least for me, early on when I was trying to quit, part of the reason it's so hard to make the move and the decision to quit is just because it doesn't really seem like that big of a deal. Like, in terms of, like, intensity of a drug, it's not any more than caffeine, right? But the way that it fucks your brain up over time, that's pretty crazy. Like, the effects of the drug might not be crazy, but the way that it hooks you and can just really be a burden on your life, that's crazy. It's just like so much that I didn't realize until I quit. But yeah, if you have had any of the issues I've been talking about, I would really suggest you try giving up nicotine, especially if you have ADHD. If you are in the state like I was, where you're convincing yourself that you're better off staying vaping because of your ADHD, bro, you need to stop and get on medication, because it's, here's the question. How is it ideal? How are you at your peak mental performance if you're going to school / going to work And the only thing on your mind is when you can hit your cigarettes or vape next. How at all is that peak mental performance? It makes no sense. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, it's easy to rationalize when you're in active addiction, but I think just overall, we need to take addiction to nicotine as a drug way more seriously. People might be apprehensive about that because of all of the ads and shit, truth or whatever, but I think they're kind of right about this one. People can attack me all they want, but yeah, I hope this helped someone. And if you have any specific questions on quitting nicotine or nicotine addiction in general, because I feel like an expert at it at this point, definitely feel free to reach out. And yeah, thanks for watching.